to the podcast, the Post Boys Podcast. Join Gary and Ian talking movies.
So today's film is the 1963 classic The Haunting, directed by Robert Wise and based on the book The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, which the film came out... not the film came out. Film came out in 1963, but the book came out in 1959. And they say that Robert Wise was reading the book on the set of West Side Story and he liked it, or he got chills, and he passed it to his long-time collaborator. Oh, what's his name again? David. Was it David? Who wrote the script? Oh, sorry, not David. Nelson Gidding. And he particularly specialised in film adaptations because he got nominated a couple of years before for I Want to Live, which was based on a memoir about somebody who was it Susan Hayward? She got the Oscar for Best Actress. And it was a true story about a woman who was in trouble with the law and then kind of turned her life around, and Robert Wise directed that. And Nelson Gidding wrote The Dromedaire Strain, adapted The Dromedaire Strain, The Hindenburg, lots of other things like that.
Yeah, so Robert Wise, pretty diverse director. He jumps from one genre to another, does he? He's not really, you can't really pigeonhole. He's a bit of a journeyman, but he's a bit of a classic journeyman director because he's come up with some classic movies.
And he did the double. He did the Best Director, Best Picture twice for West Side Story and for The Sound of Music. But because he hasn't got a very specific style, he kind of gets forgotten about. And because he did, The Day the Earth Stood Still, started. The thing is, people don't even think of him as a science fiction because director, which you could, because he's done Star Trek: The Motion Picture, The Dromedaire Strain, The Day the Earth Stood Still, and then you can't even pigeonhole him as a musical director as well. He's just There's some directors, the genre just doesn't stick to them, no matter all the stuff they've done. They're just kind
of like John Carpenter, who actually wanted to be a director of westerns, basically, because that was his thing. Westerns, and obviously science fiction. And he got into the horror genre because obviously that was an easier way to break into movies, doing like Halloween.
Yes.
Because you can make a movie, a good quality movie at a lesser budget rather than just your typical kind of movie. And obviously Halloween made a shitload of money for such a low budget movie.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And obviously I think Robert Wise, This is his first supernatural one, because he then later on made Audrey Rose with Anthony Hopkins, and all I remember from that one is when he's shouting Audrey Rose. He's shouting at the
I just something about that movie. It just doesn't gel with me. It checks all the boxes, and it should really be a movie I would love, but I don't know, there's something about it. And Anthony Hopkins' character just comes across as really creepy for most of the movie, does he? So I know, kind of stalking people and stuff. So I know.
But then that's a kind of late 70s, like hangover from the kind of Omen and The Exorcist and all that sort of stuff. Which, you're trying to find something new, and then the times move on by the time it comes out. But anyway,
okay, so we'll just follow some movie points and then we'll just go into bits and stuff. But obviously the film starts with this opening narration from Richard Johnson. He's an actor with a great voice, is he? He's
a fantastic voice.
The mood.
And like I say, he opens with that narration, and then you get the prologue, and it's almost like a mini film in itself. Because it reminded me of something like you would see in the Hammer Hound of the Baskervilles. When it opens with the backstory,
like the prologue before that. So
yes,
kind of Sherlock Holmes story,
or with the music as well. It reminded me of Roger Corman's Edgar Allan Poe films.
Yeah, like the haunted palace and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, the Fall of the House of Usher,
Usher
and
and stuff.
the Pit and the Pendulum. Because if you think about it, the film, there's no gore at all. And it's all, some people say it's a ghost story without you ever seeing
Mhm.
the ghost. And all the things that happen in the house are you could say, well, are accidents and, yeah.
Or you could just say most of it's part of what's the character's name? Julie Harris's character.
All right. Yes.
Eleanor Lance.
Yes.
Eleanor Lance.
Yeah.
She's pretty neurotic from the start of the movie. So there's obviously something not quite right there psychologically.
When they approached Shirley Jackson passed away in 1965.
So she was still
she actually saw the film.
Alive, obviously, yeah, because Wise had spoke to her before.
They spoke to her, and then they made the suggestion. Look, perhaps could we change the title, because they didn't want it called The Haunting of Hill House. And I think it was Shirley Jackson who suggested, well, how about The Haunting, which they think about. But she actually didn't rate the film. She saw it and watched it with her son, and she didn't think it was that scary. She said, "I think I've had scarier parking tickets." but then that's but then she knows. Well, she wrote the book, so she knows where.
Yeah, well, it depends. It's very kind of subjective. Some things scare some people, and it depends on what type of scares you get. I mean, there's an eerie atmosphere to this movie.
See, that's
kind of builds up, and it depends on how. Like, I think we've had this conversation before. It depends on how imaginative or creative you are in your own mind, because you can create your own scares in your own mind, because you're kind of filling in the blanks, because you kind of think you see something in this movie, and then, like I said, when I was young watching it, I know it scared the shit out of me, because obviously I thought I seen a face in the wall, and stuff like that, with the shadows and stuff.
Well, you're looking at the wall and you think that looks like a real eye, and then they cut away and it's not. But you think, well, it does look at it. But I think when the Nelson Gidding, when he was adapting the film, I think he wanted. I think maybe he had a discussion with Shirley Jackson, and then he wanted, the stuff in the film to be more about a mental breakdown and more psychological. And Shirley Jackson said, "Well, no, it's ghosts. It's not. Yeah, it's not. It's none of that. It's just ghosts. Ghosts are responsible for this. Not. But then, well, once you've sold the rights, you give up once you sell the rights, you give up your rights. Really. Yeah. And they can make whatever version they want. Now, you would like to think sometimes it helps with advertising if you have the blessing of the author, but not always,
It's very rarely then you have a book that's been kind of formatted into a movie, page for page, word for word kind of thing. I mean, maybe Rosemary's Baby is quite there. Well, there's some stuff that's missing from the book in the film, but that's pretty much.
But not much.
Page,
but not much.
No.
If you read the, and some people say that usually you can make a great film, but you need a great book to be based on. Not always, but no, that Rosemary's Baby. If you read the book, that's exactly that's the film. Obviously there's minor tweaks about the visit the Pope and all that sort of the dream stuff, but not much. It's really, that's it, and that's probably maybe the reason why it was so successful, because it's like, the book was a success. Just film the book. It's almost like a novelization. That's how close to the film it goes.
Yeah, I was thinking, obviously, Wise wanted probably add just an extra layer, just to undertone the movie. Okay, on the surface, it's a ghost story about a haunted house, but then could it be psychological? Put it in as doubt. There's this Eleanor. They've got these people that have these psychic abilities.
Well, that's the thing.
Eleanor's a bit neurotic and stuff, and there was always this backstory that she had some sort of kind of strange occurrence where there was like things fell on a house or something,
Well,
or rocks
that's the
and
thing,
stuff.
because you've got the four main actors. You've got Julie Harris, Russ Tamblyn, Claire Bloom, and Richard Johnson. And let's say, obviously, Richard Johnson's character, John Markway, he's the professor. He's investigating, and then you have Eleanor Lance, who I think she had was it a poltergeist experience when she was a child, and some people say, well, she actually represents the past. And then you've got Theodora, who's the Claire Bloom character. She's like the psychic clairvoyant. She represents the kind of future. And then obviously you've got Russ Tamblyn. Was it Luke Sanderson?
Sanderson was, because
And he doesn't believe it. All he wants is to see if the house is worth anything, because he'll inherit it.
He's just your typical young gambler, drinker. He just wants to live off the selling the house, basically. He's not interested in moving in the house.
Well, and you're talking about the psychological, and there's a lot of people who view particularly the relationship with the Julie Harris and the Claire Bloom characters, and it's not the pool of the future and the past, that they think they might be a kind of a gay undertone to that.
Theo,
Subtext between Theo and Eleanor, but then, because it's almost disguised, but that's a fact, because they're always bickering at each other and say, oh, don't touch me, oh, you're the bore, and all this sort of stuff. Or it could just be people who just don't get on.
Yeah, I think in the book it's hit on as well, but I think it's kind of Eleanor's got like a thing for Theo in the book.
Ah, right.
But in the film,
yes.
Theo is we're pretty sure that she's obviously gay. Maybe have a thing for Eleanor, but
Yes.
Eleanor's got a thing for Dr. Markway.
Yeah,
and then when his wife turns up later on in the movie, she kind of looks devastated.
Yes, because I think that's the thing, because maybe Theo can read Eleanor's kind of mind.
Yeah,
to
it's a
think,
strange,
get her
simpatico kind of relationship there, is it? So
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, as I say, it was a great cast. And that's about Claire Bloom. They'd and Richard Johnson had been in a film before, playing a husband and wife. That was Val Guest, 80,000 Suspects, and it's about it was Val Guest went through that period of making almost like social documentary, social comment films. There was the Jigsaw. Have you seen that film? That's a good one.
Heard of it. I don't know if I've seen it. If I've watched it, if I watched it, I might recognize.
It's about a whodunit, because they find a body in a rented house, and then he did obviously The Day the Earth Caught Fire. That's a brilliant one. And then 80,000 Suspects there's an outbreak of smallpox in Bath, and they have to find out where the source of it is, which is, once again, it looks brilliant in black and white and everything.
Kind of like Outbreak, but with smallpox.
Outbreak with smallpox, and of course Richard Johnson. There was talk of him being.
Look at that gate. The gate in Hill House. It kind of looks like a kind of some upside down Masonic kind of image there, something with a triangle thing.
Yeah.
There's obviously there's some kind of comparisons with Psycho. With the monologue where she's driving there, and she's having this inner monologue in her mind, and she's thinking about things, and she's reliving conversations with her sister and her brother-in-law and stuff.
I think that's a lot of people have connected it. It's almost like the Janet Leigh character when she gets the money and drives off. That when Julie Harris
she takes the car and drive off,
and
because technically she steals the car. Well,
yeah, although it's her car.
Half her car, but
it's half her car, because she's been looking after her mother. Because I always used to get confused between Julie Harris, Kim Hunter, and Betsy Blair. Because obviously, Betsy Blair was in. She was married to Gene Kelly and then Carol Rice, but she was the one who was in Marty. With Ernest Borgnine. She was the actress there. Obviously, Kim Hunter was in Planet of the Apes and Streetcar Named Desire. But that Julie Harris was almost EGOT. She won everything else apart from an Oscar. So she got a Grammy and a Tony and a Emmy.
The guy that plays Dudley is a character actor called Valentine Dyall.
Yes, Valentine Dyall, who played the Black Guardian in Doctor Who. And he's got one of the voices.
I was looking at his filmography and I seen Doctor Who and I said, oh, Ian would know about that. So, but I know him from, remember I was on about a movie the last time called City of the Dead?
Yes.
Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
Well, he plays a character called Jeffro Keen in that movie. And he puts on an American accent because he's from London, but he put an American accent on that one as well.
But also, he's the voice of in Casino Royale, the 67, Dr. Noah. He does the kind of voiceover, which is good,
So they used this house here called Eatonton Park.
Yes,
house,
yeah,
which is now a 4-star hotel.
Yes, yeah, and the exteriors, because obviously the exteriors. Well, they filmed in the UK. They filmed, I think that's is it Warwickshire? So they filmed in London and the exteriors, and then filmed in the studio in London. Where in the remake in the 1999, they filmed in the UK the exteriors, but filmed in America, in Hollywood, when they did that one.
When earlier on, when she comes out of the underground car park, coming out of driving away out of London, you can see that it's got the sign. It's got underground, like
of course,
but it looks like they're stuck because the Boston part at the front looks like it was stuck on, because it looks like cleaner than the rest of the sign.
See that's what's confusing. They filmed in Britain, all of it in Britain, but that's supposed to be in New England, isn't it? Yeah, and that's what's confusing. But Richard Johnson, he's. There was talk of him being James Bond at one point.
There's another kind of James Bond connection to this movie later on as well, is there?
I can't. What one?
Lois Maxwell.
Oh, of course. Yes. Yeah.
As Grace Marquis.
Yes.
His wife.
Yeah. No, he did that. Richard Johnson did the Bulldog Drummond films in the 60s, Deadlier Than the Male and Some Girls Do. But then there's another one which isn't a Bulldog Drummond, but he's still playing a spy called Danger Route. And that's quite a good one as well.
He said in an interview that by the time he made this movie, he was almost wanting to give up on movies and stuff, because he said he did a movie before this with Frank Sinatra, and basically he said that he just wanted to go back to theatre, but after this movie, he got back into the swing of things. So. Yeah,
well, I think after that, did he? Because that was obviously 63. Was he married to Kim Novak for a little bit?
I have no idea what his personal life was. So.
He met her on the Mall Flanders. Was it Mall Flanders? And I think they were married for about a year.
Yeah, that was quite a long time for Hollywood.
Yeah. But so as I say, Richard Johnson's character, he wants to look into the paranormal activity in this house. So he's going through records of people who've had paranormal experiences, and he contacts various people. Most people drop out, and there's only a couple of people who've kind of responded, and that's the Julie Harris character and the Claire Bloom character.
Yeah, I had you see there's a clip in the movie where Dr. Marquis is like got his the names on the chalkboard, and he's kind of going through who's going to be. And these are the names. I marked them off. He's got Albert Trepuk checked off. Charles Stern wasn't checked off. Joshua Walden was checked off. Ruth Murray not checked. Patricia Doyle not checked. Theodora ? So he didn't know the second name. So he just knew Theodora. That was checked. Paul Kerster checked. Rufus Matheson unchecked. And then right at the bottom, Eleanor Vance checked. So out of all that, only 2 people came up. So I know.
People and it's and it's like, well, yeah, it's not all. Well, I think there's one other woman that didn't character that didn't reply, but yeah.
So that kind of tells you maybe the history of Hill House kind of put everybody off.
But the thing about it is, as he says in the narration, it was kind of born evil, but there was no murderers there. It's just accidents. But I mean, but it's just the sense of the kind of foreboding, and the guy whose house it was, which was it Hugh Crane? Yeah, Hugh Crane was the guy who did he build the house or come into the house?
Yeah, built the house for his young wife, who tragically died in a carriage accident coming in before she even got to see the house.
And then because there's that scene where I think
smashed into a tree.
Smashed into the tree, and then his second wife falls down the stairs.
Yeah.
And then there's that scene where they have a daughter, and he's Abigail, and
she's in the nursery. And she grows old in like 2 minutes, basically.
Which that is a slightly disconcerting kind of fade, because you see the young face and then going into this strange kind of adult face, and then to the old woman's face. You know?
She had a pretty boring life, did she? She just stayed in bed all day for about 80 years.
Well, that's
and then that was she hired a
companion,
young companion from the village.
Young companion,
and she was fooling around with the farmhand on the veranda while she was banging a stick, and then she died. Then the young companion got the house, so that was quite nice.
But then once again she self-harmed. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she was found hanged on the spiral staircase.
Yeah, well, and that scene as she's going up with a rope on a silver salver, and that scene. Well, once again, that's almost like a mini movie in itself, you know.
So one of the check marks of old black and white horrors is you got to have a rickety old spiral staircase, is it?
You know, that's the thing, and it looks fantastic, and it's the shivers you get. You know, there's the laughing and the shouting and the groaning, you know, on the other side of the wall that you can't make out at the same time as you're seeing. Are you seeing faces in the wallpaper? You know?
Well, it's kind of funny because you kind of think, could it be all in the heads kind of thing? But everybody could hear the banging all at the same time. So,
but then sometimes there's some.
But
in some occasions.
Could be
illness,
guys, yeah.
The Russ Tamblyn and the Richard Johnson character can't.
Yeah, that's when the house has tried to separate them, kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
They go off looking after like some dog or something. They thought they seen a dog,
and they're running away.
They go outside. While they're outside, the two women are trapped because the door locks and the banging happens, and obviously they're scared.
And then I think. In the book, the Lois Maxwell's character, John Markham's... She
had a more prominent role in the book. She was kind of a bit of a cameo part in the movie, isn't she?
In the movie, in the book, I think there's 2 people who arrive. The Lois Maxwell character and somebody else. And they both can't see. You know, all the other, the 4 members are, you know, seeing these sights which she isn't seeing. I think there's something that's cut from the book is they go out and they see a family having a picnic on a lawn, and it looks like bright daylight. You know, all these little things, all these little tweaks that, you know, are you seeing something in the shadows? Although I think that was one of the reasons they wanted it brightly lit. You know, the sets to be brightly lit and to have ceilings to increase this, you know, sense of claustrophobia.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but then it doesn't take much. You know, there's a scene where it's scrawled on the wall. Is it? Help Eleanor come home, and it's like it's so obvious it's there, and it's like, well, if I didn't do it and you didn't do it, well, who wrote that there? It doesn't take much for it to say, well, it has to be the house.
Well, Theo kind of has their own assumptions that Nell, I'll just call her Nell.
Yeah,
Nell probably just did it herself because he's like looking for attention. It's all about her kind of thing.
Well, it's that thing, yeah. I suppose people. Well, I suppose the subtext of there might be a gay relationship. It's a bit like that film. Was it the Children's Hour? You know, with Audrey Hepburn and Shirley MacLaine, where there's kind of two friends. They run a school, and somebody spreads a rumor that they live together. That's a good film.
Okay. There's an actor, the actor that plays Nell's sister, brother-in-law, her brother-in-law, Nell's sister's husband, Paul Maxwell. No relation to Lois Maxwell.
See, that's what I'm saying, because she's Canadian. I wonder if there's a lot of the people who came over during the war.
Paul Maxwell's Canadian as well. And this is a guy, when I seen this, I went, that's the guy that played Van Leeuwen, the head honcho guy from Aliens.
Yes.
When he was a lot older. And he was also played a small part. Remember, he's the guy on the ship that stole the thing from River Phoenix, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yes.
So that was him as well. But he was a UK-based Canadian actor, kind of played a lot of American characters in British productions or films filmed in Britain at the time. So you can see his filmography goes way back to like early 50s, right up until I think 1991, 92, where he died at the age of 70 of cancer, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I recognised him when I see his face, because he's got a kind of unique look.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that, at this time in the 60s, you get, well, I suppose, you look at Stanley Kubrick making Lolita here, where sometimes it's like, no, that's quite obviously, that's a British style house. That's not an American style house.
Was that meant to be set in America?
Yes. Yeah. Because I don't know whether or not, I don't think he had a fear of flying. I think he had wanted places where, he wasn't that keen on travelling, So that's So that's the reason why all the other films from then on in are Britain or Ireland,
Yeah. I mean, apart from a few scenes at the start of this movie, which is pretty obviously the UK. If you live in the UK, you know a UK building.
You know a UK building and you know a UK sky. It's when you the overcast
even in
clouds.
a black and white movie.
Even in a black and white movie, you can tell.
Russ Tamblyn.
Which I was as a kid watching at Christmas Tom Thumb, because he was in Tom Thumb.
Yeah, I knew him from Tom Thumb.
And then he was in obviously Twin Peaks later on, but he was a gymnast, and obviously Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. So he was a bit of a dancer, singer, choreographer. Yeah. So this is a bit of a strange one after West Side Story, but mind you, he obviously directed by Robert Wise. Yeah, but the thing is, he was Oscar nominated, but Russ Tamblyn, but it was for Peyton Place. That film, which was like almost like a kind of soap opera. That got a few Oscar nominations. That was set in like a wee picket fence, and then you think it's an idyllic, white picket fence kind of community, and all the secrets come out over. It's a fairly long film, Technicolor, but it was good. It's a good one.
But what year did that come out?
Oh, Peyton Place must have been mid to late 50s, I thought.
Yeah.
Because as I say, I think Russ Tamblyn, he's still alive, so he must be about 91. I think Claire Bloom is still.
Yeah.
So she ended up marrying Rod Steiger. And she was in, what film? She was in Charlie. That's Flowers for Algernon. Have you read that book? That's a good book.
No.
It's about a guy who, what you'd say is he has a low IQ, and then he takes this serum and makes him an absolute genius, and he kind of outgrows the scientists who are trying to help him. But what they notice is the Algernon, this mouse that was given the serum, it shortens his life. So he tries to find out if there's a cure to keep this intelligence, but it doesn't, and it ends with his intelligence going back down to having a low IQ again, almost like that of a child. And that's what Cliff Robertson won the Oscar for Best Actor.
Yeah.
But he couldn't collect the Oscar because he was out in he was making that film with Michael Caine. Was it Too Late the Hero?
Mm.
And they made a wooden Oscar that he won, but somehow he ended up injuring his head and getting an infection in his head or something like that, on the airplane or something, you know.
Mm.
But yeah, no, Illustrated Man. That's a weird book. It's a Ray Brad. Well, no, weird film. I should say.
Illustrated Man. Yeah. How old was Russ Tamblyn when he made this movie? But he's got a jacket on, like it's like a it's almost like an AC/DC like kiddie's school jacket.
Well, I don't know if he's trying to be.
Is he trying to be
younger.
younger than he really was, sort of thing?
Yes,
He's got that kind of boyish look, so he could play a younger character.
Well, you know, maybe a bit like was it Scent of a Woman? So he's maybe in his final
the original
year.
Scent of a Woman, not the Pacino one.
No, the Pacino one. I'm just saying you might be in one of those kind of prep kind of schools. You know how you're almost near the end, so he could be maybe he's trying to be 18 or whatever. Maybe.
Everybody smokes in this movie as well.
Yeah, but it's it's, as I say, it's taken absolutely seriously without being po-faced. That and that's often what's more scary. That it's a matter of fact, a bit like as I say, there's lots of mirrors in this film, and there's that great scene where there was no CGI where
the door.
Yeah, she's running towards. You think she's running towards the camera, but she's actually running towards the Julie Harris character. She's running towards a mirror.
Yeah,
and you can't see the camera. It's not like it's. And I hadn't seen anything like that since there's that scene in Contact with Jodie Foster when it's the young actress playing the young Jodie, and she's running, and obviously they've used the CGI to take the camera totally out of the mirror, because you wouldn't be able to do that, be that low at that angle and still without seeing the camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was kind of obviously interested in who the cinematographer or the director of photography was on this movie.
Yeah, Davis
Bolton. Yeah. Now, you didn't really do that much, to be honest with you, when you watched it. And I was kind of a bit disappointed. I mean, he did Children of the Damned right after this.
Yeah, the sequel. But that's why it looks fantastic. And sometimes, you see this you see some films and you check the cinematographer, like was it Gordon Willis, and you think, and you can see all his stuff. And other times, I don't mean one-offs, but there's films you think, oh wow, I want to see what more. And the person hasn't done that famous films. I think after he did Modesty Blaze in colour, that's the Italian actress in she's like the female secret agent.
Sophia Loren.
No, the blonde one who was in the red tent. Oh, what was her name?
With the red tent. That was the Ennio Morricone did the music for that, did they?
Yes, yeah. What was her name?
Claudia.
No, not Claudia Cardinale. No, God, can't remember. But yeah, that was the one. Terence Stamp and Dirk Bogarde are they're in that Modesty Blaze. Once again, Carol Rice. Was it Carol Rice? It was Carol Rice directed it. I think so. That was a good film. And then the music was Humphrey Serrell.
Yeah, I like the score. It's not the over-the-top melodramatic score of films of this type.
No, because I think it was more of a classical experimental. Because I love that.
Yeah, it's just a lot of weird sounds and stuff.
Yeah, like it's almost like somebody's putting a screwdriver across the back of piano wires. There's a famous scene where she says, "Whose hand was I holding?" And you hear this, and that's brilliant.
Yeah, I think probably Kubrick would probably like his style more. I know, because he likes kind of
he did
atmospheric, surreal type, ambient and scores.
He actually did that Humphrey Serrell. He did a Hammer one, which is once again another good and black white one, The Abominable Snowman. Nigel Neal wrote the script for.
Of Peter Cushing.
Peter Cushing, once again.
There was a token American actor in that as well, was there?
Yeah. And Robert Brown was the second M. He was in it, but that's a good film. That was based on like another TV kind of play, and then they made it as a feature film. But those sets are brilliant. You never think you were in. You think you're in the Himalayas.
The Tibetan sets.
Yeah, Tibet. Yeah, and it was all probably fit.
The only problem is when they're on the mountain, it kind of looks a bit like kind of kind of polystyrene kind of thing.
Although to be fair, that was early 60s. That or was it
I
early
think-
60s?
no, I think it was
late
probably
50s.
before. I think it was before. I think it was late 50s. That
Yeah,
one.
it could well be like 50. Yeah, it could be 59.
Yeah. I think it was that obviously because this was only Davis Bolton's second movie as cinematographer. You know, Robert Wise, he
Oh,
was
wow.
he was an editor for Orson Welles on
Citizen, yeah.
Citizen Kane, and he also was understudy director to Val Lewton on a lot of those 40 noir movies.
Yeah.
So he wasn't just a director. He came through and he obviously jack of all trades. He probably did a
jack of all-
lot of
yeah.
stuff. So obviously he knows how to shoot a movie. And obviously it was his idea because they used the experimental Panavision lens and it wasn't
It wasn't ready, was
It wasn't
it?
ready,
They
no.
wanted for they had for
he had to sign a contract to show to say we know that this isn't fit for use because there's distortion in the lens.
Yeah,
But he
well,
wanted the
he wanted the
distortion in the lens for the
I think
movie.
it was it 40mm, and he wanted they working on was it a 30mm lens, and I think Robert Wise. I'm sure I read Robert Wise had said that this was one of the best filmmaking experiences of his life making this film. You know, I don't know. You know, yeah.
They all got on apart from Julie Harris. She
Julie
kind of
Harris-
stuck to herself, but the rest of them all went out drinking and having meals and but Julie Harris, he kind of stayed away. But maybe she was doing this kind of methodology acting.
I don't. I think it just so. Read about Julie Harris, where I think in real life she was suffering either from depression or a bit of a breakdown, which she thought would help. But I don't think that was. I think that's just coincidence that it just so happened it was happening at that, and that kind of helped with the character. It just
So she made herself depressed just to play the character.
No, I don't think it had anything to do with it. I think that was just something going on in her life, and it just so happens that she was making a film that led into it. But the thing, the famous scene when there's groaning and you see the faces, and then she says, "Oh, Theo, hold my hand," and then in the book, as you say, you get hairs at the back of your neck, and then the lights come on and she's across the other side of the room and she says, "Whose hand was I holding?" If you watch the trailer, that little scene is in the trailer. So it's already told the audience at some point this character is going to go, "Whose hand was I holding?" And it's like you've already given away one of the big scares in the whole film, because I say it came out in was it September 63, and then it didn't come to UK till 64, early 64. But as you say, that the sets varying sizes, they change the corridor shape, without it being too, fantastical. Because you're looking, well, wait a minute, was that there? And it bears repeat viewing. But then I suppose there's the spirit in Hill House of that Hugh Crane, who I don't know if he was a, disciplinarian. He was a fire and brimstone kind of person. So once again, there's not any. I don't think there's any. Well, there's no murders in that house.
They found a book with a lot of kind of pretty violent religious imagery towards children.
Yes.
I remember in the book later on that Russ Tamblyn's character Luke finds in the library. Now, here's the banging scene. This film would actually do with a Atmos remastered soundtrack. Unfortunately, the Blu-ray's only got like a mono soundtrack, but with the sound effects, if some work was done with a really good technical team, they could create a pretty good soundscape for the noises and the creaks and the stuff in the movie, But obviously they haven't rebothered with it.
No, I mean sometimes sometimes people confuse this one with The Innocents with Deborah Kerr, simply because you see, a couple of people in kind of 90s, particularly Julie Harris character, and you see the old fashioned house, and you think it's one and the same kind of, or you can't quite realise. Oh no, The Innocents is Victorian. This is modern day.
It could almost be Victorian because most of the movie is made in this house.
Yeah.
And apart from maybe the clothes, maybe Theo's clothes are a bit more modern.
Yeah, yeah.
But apart from that, I mean, it could be pretty much a Victorian ghost horror story, could it?
Yeah, it could be that.
Now, there was just on a podcast I was listening to, there was obviously Robert Wise was contracted to MGM,
Yes.
and so was Russ Tamblyn as well.
There's a few people contracted to MGM.
And he obviously read the book. He was wanting to do the movie, so he goes to MGM, and they offered him like 1.1 million or something to make the movie in America, and he was kind of wanting a bit more. So he went. So I don't know. Somebody told him. I said, "Why don't you go to London and speak
Because-
to MGM Bournemouth,
Yes.
which is an MGM?
Yeah.
So it'll be an MGM production." And he goes over there, and they'll get tax breaks as well.
Of course, yeah, that was that thing.
So they got a 1.4 budget with tax breaks, and he went, "Oh, this is good." So that's why they filmed in the UK rather than in America.
That's yeah.
But it kind of helps because you know what? If they did the house, I wonder what the house would have been like. It would have been a wooden house, would it? In America.
Yeah, I think if you look at the what do you call it? If the remake in 1999, and they wanted to, that I think they spent about 10 million on just the set itself, but that was more to do with fear. That wasn't the haunted house. Well, no, was it a haunted house? The Liam Neeson character is wanted people who it was to do with fear rather than being clairvoyant. But they wanted to. The production was looked at. Is it the Winchester House?
Yeah,
That one where the Winchester rifles. Was it the wife built a house and it ended up becoming almost like a.
It's like it's like a Lego house is built. It's all over the place.
Yes.
It's like a
kept
a
building.
maze.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. There's little alleyways that go nowhere, and there's little mini doors. It's something like that, or something like Lewis Carroll or Alice in Wonderland type of house, is it?
Yeah.
It's just but yeah. I mean, I would like to visit the. Is it the I was going to call it the Remington House, the Winchester House. Yeah, because it's something. It's very. And she just kept. I think she just kept on adding bits to it and just altering it while she was alive. She was complete nutcase, was she?
Yeah, I know that there was that film with Dame Helen. She was in it, but they tried to add a bit of supernatural element.
Yeah, that was the one that had that New Zealand actor in it. What's his name? From the Planet of the Apes movie. What's that guy? He was big for like 10 minutes, about 10 years ago.
Oh,
he was also in that Everest movie with Jake Gyllenhaal. He's a New Zealand actor. You know him. He has got like a strange, unique face. But yeah, it was all right. It had potential, does it? So
yeah. But no, talking about the sound. I mean, eerie soundtracks. Have you ever seen it's Full Circle, or it's otherwise known as The Haunting of Julia? That's a Mia Farrow made in the 70s.
Oh, it's in Britain or something, is it?
It's in Britain, and that soundtrack, because it's electronic, and you almost hear it's almost people speaking, but it's electronically, and that is creepy, and it's like the ghost of a child, but running their finger across her face when she's sleeping and all that really is. Creepy, yeah. It's like a cross between The Exorcist and The Omen, and yeah, Tom Conti is in it as a kind of Lovejoy character, antique stealer, but it looks fantastic.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but I've heard about it. Yeah,
it looks brilliant.
Kinda...
And that's got a brilliant. That's got Lou Beale as a clairvoyant. Anna Wigg, who was in Lou Beale from EastEnders.
Similarly, the actor Paul Maxwell, who's he played the brother-in-law at the start of this, was in Coronation Street for a bit of a time as well before he died. But it all comes back to Coronation Street and EastEnders.
That's the thing. Well, particularly the films you start to see in the late 70s, early 80s, and then you knew if you're of any note, you'll either become really famous or go into soap opera, like EastEnders or whatever, or but that is it Eddington Park?
Yeah,
House.
Eddington Park. Yeah.
That was used the second time. There was a chapel in the grounds, and that was used for the Watcher in the Woods. Watcher in the Wood, that Disney film with Bette Davis, one of her last films, and that had who was the actress who was in For Your Eyes Only? Who was the skater, the blonde?
Your Eyes Only skater. Oh, the kind of obnoxious
Yes.
blonde American girl.
Yes, yeah.
That just tries to bang James Bond, but funny enough, James Bond doesn't take her up on it, and he's like, he bangs everything that moves in that in the James Bond universe, but he didn't take her up.
Yeah,
maybe because she was like quite young, was she?
Yeah.
So you're obviously not part of the Epstein circle then.
No.
There's I'm just going to shout out to the Final Girls Feast podcast, which I listened to this morning, which halfway through the podcast, I didn't realise that the thing about the podcast for these girls is they just talk about food and drink, basically. And I was kind of wondering why they weren't talking about the movie so much, but they were just thinking about, but the scene in the dining room or breakfast, they make a comment that the food's not served, it's just left on the sideboard or the cupboard.
Yes. And
they have to go and do it themselves, kind of thing, which is kind of a especially for breakfast, it's kind of a Victorian Georgian thing where it
would be served
everything's all set up on a sideboard, and you would go and just pick and choose what you want, like a buffet for breakfast kind of thing.
Yeah, because then what
like there it is there, he's going over to pick it up something.
Well, that's the way, because then you take what you want rather than somebody gives you a plate to say either there's not enough or there's too much. So if you go like you go in a hotel in the breakfast, I always like to go down first thing, as early as possible when it opens. How about yourself?
Yeah. But the reason why it's in this movie is because Mrs. Dudley,
yes,
especially at dinner, she's not going to hang around to serve the food. She's just going to make the food, leave it there, and they could do what they want with the food, because she's going to go off at 6 o'clock because she doesn't stay there.
No, she doesn't stay there. She'll say, no, I'm not there. And she repeats that a few times to say, no, look.
I've got it here, Ian. So like she goes and says, I set dinner on the dining room table sideboard at 6. Breakfast is ready at 9. I don't stay after dinner, not after it begins to get dark. We live in town 9 miles away, so there won't be anyone around if you need help. They would hear you in the night, in the dark. No one lives any nearer than town. No one would come any nearer than that. In the night, in the dark.
No, she's quite, she's. I think
but then she just recites the same thing to Theo like 5 minutes later. But they'll just like ignore her, basically.
Yeah, just say, at night, in the dark, there's nobody will come,
Yeah, and obviously Mr. Dudley, Valentine Dyall. Basically, there's a bit of an interaction with Eleanor, because he wasn't going to let her in. The gate was chained up.
Yes, yeah.
And she kind of puts her foot down, and then he kind of reluctantly opens up the gate, and then she almost knocks him down just to scare him.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, look who's scared now," and says, "You'll be the one that's sorry for me opening the gates." And she kind of just drives off.
Well, now in any other hands, you think, oh yeah, this film's going to be like that, but then it's something, it kind of wrong foots you to think, oh no, it's not going to be, like that. It's not going to be like, say, white sheets with holes. You're not going to see ghosts. You're not going to, well, if you think about it, in the kind of 50s and the 60s, any horror film, well, particularly in the 50s, it was like, big monsters, werewolves and stuff like this. And this is something different. Perhaps maybe people went, because in actual fact, it did mixed, it got mixed reviews, and because obviously maybe people are thinking they're wanting to see, ghosts, or they're actually wanting to see, white sheets and all this sort of stuff. And no, that's not what you get. And perhaps it's not till after a few days later that it works its kind of magic. You know, because if you're looking for bad scares,
It's cocaine. So they're looking at the written transcript of was it say, Ian,
come home, help Eleanor, come home.
on the wall. So there's only 4 of them there, and obviously Theo thinks that Eleanor did it on purpose, just to basically take the limelight, and obviously just looking for attention.
Then, as you say, there's not been any murders, only accidents. But then, you know, you can be a horrible person, morally bankrupt, horrible person without ever breaking the law. And as I say, that Hugh Crane is just this nastiness. Just it's enthused because they don't mention it's built on anything. There's no indication that it's not built on a graveyard or ley lines or anything like that.
Or Indian burial ground, if it was written by Stephen King.
Stephen King.
I've got my own theory. You know how obviously Abigail dies as an old woman.
Yes.
She's banging her stick.
And
the person who's looking after her doesn't come to her aid, and she dies.
Once again,
and then
natural. It's not like she's been poisoned or stuff like that.
No, and then the parallel with Nell, where she was the one caring for her bedridden mother, and she had to get up in the middle of the night for the banging sound for her.
That's exactly what she says. Oh, okay, when she wakes up, say, "Okay, mother, I'm coming," and then she realizes, "Oh, wait a minute." And it's not till now I realised, oh no, that's the old Abigail. That's probably what she's hearing.
Yeah. So you kind of wonder, because with her psychic or connection when she was younger, do you think this is like a manifestation of Eleanor's psychic ability? Maybe subconsciously she's the one that's doing this, and the other people could pick up on that. Well, because it's the banging, and because she's the one that's mostly affected by it, is she?
Well, there's one theory that the Eleanor character, the Julie Harris character, is the haunted and the haunting in one.
Mm-hmm.
But as you say, you make these connections to say that, well, she looked after her mother, and then you hear an old woman banging on the door. Is that connected? Is that, there's just enough leeway? But then Shirley Jackson would say, nope, ghosts. There's none of that. That's although, just because somebody's in the past, I mean, people can be, I mean, who knows? Maybe Shirley Jackson wanted something a bit like, say, I don't mean like that, but like a Texas Chainsaw. That was her sensibility, but you were born
Shirley Jackson, The Haunting of Leatherface.
No, but you know what I mean. That just because you were born in the 50s or watching films in the 50s might not represent the kind of gore that you want, And now we live in an area of films, particularly horror films, that it can't get any more extreme. So if you're a horror person, everything you should be catered for. Everything's there, from psychological to absolute kind of torture and stuff like that. So that, filmic torture, I should say. So that there's nothing that if you're interested in horror, there's something for you. Although you're watching a film, and think, it'd be better if there was a wee bit more here or less here or whatever. But that's filmmaking choices.
Well, sometimes films are better when less is more.
Yes, because like I say, you don't.
Sometimes movies nowadays, they just signpost everything. It's all explained way too much, and the original Star Wars movies were fine by themselves, and then George Lucas has to go and do the prequels and give us more backstory, which was just a lot of bullshit, to be honest with you.
But the interesting thing about George always said, these films are made for children. But then if you look at the prequels and you think, those aren't children's films. No. If you're talking about trade wars and
Federation. And
so it's like you contradicted yourself.
Well, he was right about the drone wars, because I think there's going to be drone wars in the future, because that's all people are fighting with Ukraine and stuff. Well, I mean, what's the point of building aircraft and stuff nowadays when you could build drones a lot cheaper that could do even more damage?
Well, that's what they always say, that there's a huge technological leaps every time there is some sort of war. So all the thing, or a space race or stuff like that we get the benefits from non-stick pans to, medical bandages or all this sort of stuff. And maybe the similar thing with the drones that, you've had a conflict drones were always there for photography. And then people thought, well, we can weaponize these.
Yeah, there was loads of like inventions in World War II, because basically when you're in a war, you're fighting for your life. You have to get your finger out and get creative and, start inventing things that's going to help, Obviously the British had radar, but they did inventions on top of the radar to make it more accurate. So because radar was a bit hit and miss.
Well, that's and thing he was in Brecon, wasn't he? Born in Brecon.
Yeah.
And as I say,
and so much other stuff, like obviously the code breaking stuff, and obviously the first supercomputer to break down algorithms and things. I mean, it's pretty remarkable they came away with this stuff. But obviously the nuclear bomb or the atom bomb at the time. But it was a big race, because if the Nazis had got there, things would have been a lot different. Fine margins, is it?
It's always fine margins. It's fine margins. It's like I was watching the titles, and I'm glad that the font they use for the film is the same font that they use in the advertising. The Haunting, because the titles that does remind me of Roger Corman, because Roger Corman's Edgar Allan Poe films, they love to drop some dye into like a little pool and film it, and you get be quite effective by doing little bits in there, and that kind of white ink you get, and then it forms into kind of the Haunting, the titles, which I liked.
I've kind of wondered how they did kind of titles like that in those days, before CGI and computers and things. They have to be creative.
Yeah, just be creative, and you just have to bring in the focus, soft focus or zoom or a fade, crossfade, or
it's like a lot of the stuff was like in camera tricks and stuff, like in the old like Charlie Chaplin movies where you think he's on roller skates. Remember the one who's on roller skates? You think he's going to fall down this ledge, down this vast pit, and you go, "Oh, that was scary." He just almost killed himself, but he wasn't. It's basically they matted that part of the screen, to make it look like a ledge that he could drop off at. So he was just doing the fake. I'm going to fall over. But there was nothing there to fall into anyway.
And a similar thing with Harold Lloyd on the clock face. That was partly built on the top of another building, but the way it lined up, it looked like it was part of the other building. But it was quite obviously having a crash mat, but it wasn't as high. But it looked worse than it was, and they kept changing it. So as he's climbing up, you see the different floors. Because they made part of the wall as well, and it looks like, it's only if you freeze it and then compare it to think, well, wait a minute, he's only at the third floor. Wait a minute, he was at the seventh floor. Yeah, they just kept moving it around the roof to give you the illusion that he's climbing up the side of one building. Because it was high up, and because it was on the roof of another one, it was higher than it was. And sometimes the in-camera stuff's.
Well, it's good in camera, so if you get away with it, then it's going to look okay at the time, and it's still going to look okay in the future. Whereas you're watching something from 20 years ago with bad CGI, and it just looks awful.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Well, it's the similar thing with the remake of the Haunting. A lot of the practical stuff is good. It's the CGI, faces in the glass hasn't aged. But. I think Robert Wise did the old Bill Friedkin thing he played sounds on the set as well, noises.
I don't think it went as bad as Bill Friedkin by bringing guns on and shooting at people to scare them and things. So.
Yeah,
or breaking or shoving them against bloody cupboards and breaking,
pulling them with wires.
What's her name?
Ellen. Oh no, it wasn't Ellen Barkin. It was
Busting.
Ellen.
She got, but she hurt herself for the rest of her life.
Back, yeah, because he pulled her with a,
He's just like no nonsense filmmaking, like you do what I say kind of thing.
Yeah, and as I say, this is the Shirley Jackson, the Haunting of Hill House, that has nothing to do with the Legend of Hell House. Sounds similar.
Richard Matheson.
Roddy McDowall, Pamela Franklin,
and
Clive Revell, the New Zealand actor.
And the connection to...
And Gail Honey... Was it Gail? No, not Gail Honeycutt. Was it Gail Honeycutt?
Honeycutt used to be married to...
Was it Gail Honeycutt?
She's blonde.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a lot more in your face. That's a lot more... Yeah, but yeah, that's based, which I think a lot of people assume because it's people coming to this house, but the house in the 1973, the Legend of Hell House, that house is full of debauchery and murders and vampirism. This Hill House isn't, and I think sometimes people think, oh, it's a similar kind of setup, people going there, but it's a lot more in your face.
You remember that episode of Columbo with Clive Revell? Where he played this Irish guy.
Irish.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah, and he marked the glass bottle, the whiskey bottle, where he said, right, this and no more.
Yeah.
Because he was a stage actor. He was New Zealand. I always thought he was an English guy, but no, he was a New Zealander. And no, he was in that Modesty Blaze.
And then he was the first actor to portray the Emperor in Empire Strikes Back before they redid it later on.
They redid it. His voice.
Young Skywalker. And there's a line in this that goes where at the start of the movie where he's trying to get permission from the old spinster Sanderson. Is it Sanderson?
Yes.
Who's he owns the house. Basically, she's asking inquiring questions like, are you married, Mr. Marquis? Dr. Marquis? Yes. So I presume your wife is going. No, she doesn't agree with it, so I know. And you're going with all these other women. So I know.
Well, that's the thing.
But then she says, what are you looking for, Dr. Marquis? And he goes and says, maybe only a few loose floorboards, but maybe, and I see maybe, the key to another world. There's a similar line in Evil Dead 2. Remember when they came off the plane?
Yes.
There's a similar line to that. And there's obviously the hand thing as well in Evil Dead. So I wonder if Sam Raimi obviously have seen this. There's a couple of things that's very similar.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a cold spot scene when he discovers a cold spot.
They actually made the place cold so they could see the breath while doing the production.
And also, I think... Did they have a bit like Frederick March, the makeup and the filters, when he did Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? I think they put a different makeup on them. So when they came into that, they put a different filter and they looked as if their skin had lost colour because it was cold,
Shadir, is it he did the breath, you could see his breath. They actually made the studio freezing cold so they could get that shot. Pretty remarkable.
Well, yeah. Well, nowadays you just use CGI, which I think did they not do the same? Where did I read that they used the same breath from Titanic in Fight Club? So that there's a fantasy scene in Fight Club when it says there's the penguin inside the ice cave, and I think whether it's either Edward Norton or Helena Bonham Carter's, the breath they see is the same breath that was from Kate Winslet's or Leonardo DiCaprio's. That's the same.
They just like stuck it on kind of thing.
Yes, yeah. Just,
copy and paste breath.
Copy and paste.
This is there's a scene here where the elder almost shares the same bed with Dyall. Look at this. So what about they don't actually spell it out, but the undertones are pretty thick.
Well, I think, as you say, it's just they are different. In the film, it's different approaches. You're, psychic, and you're, as I say, susceptible to, sensitive to certain things. But then, as I say, that then Lois Maxwell, that John Markway's wife, turns up, and then he goes into the nursery, which is
was she not part of the original experiment? Was she not part of the original crew in the book? Because she turns up later on in the film.
No,
I thought she had a bigger character in the book.
No,
she definitely had a bigger role in the book.
No, I think there's two people, her and somebody else, turn up in the book later. But I think she's still kind of disappears into the house. Yeah, that.
So there, I can see a face there just at the top.
But then I'm not too sure whether or not that looks like a real eye, because it changes again. I saw a little colorized version of that, and it was more effective there. But yeah, no, she disappears into the house. But then, as I say, the Julie Harris character, she finds when she goes to the top of the staircase, that's where Lois Maxwell's appear. But for some reason, she ended up getting into the attic, and she's saying, well, no, it was the house that dragged me up into that.
It would have been funny that Mrs. Barkway turns up with James Bond, because moonlighting as Miss Moneypenny.
But then you forget about Lois Maxwell. That was only maybe a couple of days' work in the early days. Every
what
year.
What year was Doctor No? Was she in Doctor No?
Oh, wait a minute. Yes, she was in Doctor No. So she was, and that was 63, going into 64. So, yes, so because they made the films 62 to 65, each year a film came out, and then there was a gap after Thunderball, 2 years to build the set for You Only Live Twice, 67. But then you're in all these films, but that's only maybe a couple of days' work being Moneypenny. It's only in the later films that, she has a slightly bigger role.
She never has like a big role in anything, does she? She's just a small cameo here and there.
She's a small cameo, and you don't actually, apart from when she attends the wedding in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, you don't see her outside of the office. Oh no, you do. They visit Bond's house in Live and Let Die, and then sorry, she's out the office in Diamonds Are Forever because she's at the hovercraft at Dover. Remember, she comes and gives Bond his passport, the Peter Frank's passport. Yeah,
and she also. So what was the one where they're in the kind of half sunken ship in the harbour? It was like it's all kind of lopsided.
Oh, that's Man with the Golden Gun.
Yeah, well, she's in that as well. She's obviously.
Is she? Is she in that? Yeah.
Yeah, she's and she was in the one in Egypt, the Spy.
Oh, the Spy Who Loved Me.
Spy Who Loved Me. She's in Egypt, in the base there.
And then, as I say, she always thinks, when they had this the Living Daylights premiere, she was there interviewing, and you could see she was still a bit resentful that her idea she wanted come the Timothy Dalton. So, when he goes and sees The Office for M, Moneypenny's now the new M. Now, eventually, she'll live long enough to see Dame Judy, but, she was, she thought it should have been Miss Moneypenny, 10 years earlier. Although it's interesting, I think they offered Glenda Jackson M, but obviously she was too busy being an MP, so she turned it down. So Dame Judy got it.
No one who rents Hill House ever stays for more than a few days. The dead are not quiet in Hill House.
But not the murdered dead, just the dead. Yeah. That's the thing, because people have fallen, but is it just the evil presence that have caused them to fall, or caused the carriages to run into trees and all this sort of stuff? So as you say, there's enough leeway to think: is it just accidents, or is it a presence? But you never get to the bottom of the evilness. It's just there.
Well, it doesn't even go into like Final Destination territory when things start moving themselves, or even like The Omen, where things happen to obviously to kill people off. It doesn't even go that far. So it's almost psychological, is it? So
it's psychological. Well, the film's psychological. Yeah.
So in the Boston Underground car park, where she takes the car, it was $250 for 24 hours.
$250 for 24 hours. Wow.
That'd be quite dear for 1963, would it? $250.
But remember, we're talking. That would be a big city.
35 cents each hour or $2.50 for 24 hours. Crazy. Thought it'd be a lot cheaper than that in 1963.
Yeah, as you say, no one will ever come near the house at night.
In the dark.
Dark. At night. When at night? Yeah. What? No, during the day? No, in the dark.
And then, like, the second time she says it, she does it with a big smirk.
Well, that's
Mrs. Dudley.
Well, exactly. Unnatural things.
The Dudleys must have an easy life, because nobody goes to Hill House, and they're the caretaker and the cook. So what do they do? Just kind of a little bit of a clearing up here and there, sort of thing.
But the thing is,
maybe do the garden or something.
Because obviously the house is restless and it's needing, and as you say, that Eleanor at the end, she almost like the first Mrs. Markham hits a tree, and then she then calms the house, perhaps looking for, but then the Russ Tamblyn character says, yeah, he says that it ought to be burnt down in the ground, sowed with salt. So
yeah, that was the last line in the movie, was it?
That's the last line of the movie. So it's like, well, does that mean all the spirits will just disappear, or will the spirits still be there at that
in the ground?
In the ground. That's the thing. Well, maybe that's what he's saying about sown with salt. But then, by having the Eleanor character in it, does that mean everything's now become peaceful, or is it just containing it until you?
Well, obviously, the house is partly responsible, but maybe it's manifestations of Eleanor's neurosis or psychosis that's triggering all this stuff. You never know. Maybe it's kind of a bit of both.
Yeah, I would say a bit of both, because if people are saying even before she's there, nobody's going to stay here for any length of time.
Then she's already says that she wants to stay there forever and ever and ever, and then she dies, and then she'll be there forever in spirit. In spirit.
Yeah, as I say,
it's quite the bit where she's driving away, and then you see this like ghostly figure just pop out behind the tree.
Yeah, but
that scares the crap out of her.
See, that's the.
But then you find out it's just Mrs. Markway running about in a nightie.
Yeah, because she was, for somehow, right, if she was in the nursery and then she ended up in the attic, and then that's where Eleanor sees her, and then
because she does that climb up the
up
the spiral staircase, the rickety loose spiral staircase, which was pretty safe. What they were making it sort of thing. It was deliberately meant to do that.
Unlike in the remake, I think Liam Neeson isn't the best at heights, so they made him go up a staircase
for someone who's like quite tall.
Yes, yeah. I think did I read somewhere that Spielberg was going to direct the remake, and it was Jan de Bont was going to do Minority Report, but somehow Tom Cruise, his schedule freed up. So because Spielberg,
this is before like Tom Cruise had signed on for Minority Report.
Yeah, so I think it was because DreamWorks were making both. I think they could have just said. I think they went to Jan and say, "Son, it's not your time. Yeah, you can direct The Haunting, and I'll direct Minority."
You directed Twister.
Yeah.
Jan.
But also, I think it turned out that he was quite happy because had made so many films outdoors, he was quite happy to
do studio
work,
which you can control the environment and the lighting and stuff a lot easier.
And particularly with a ghost story, half the battle is your production. If you get your production, and either you keep it lit or keep it dark, then you let people's imagination. Because it made all its money back. The 1991, I had is it Lily? Who was it? Lily. Well, I had Catherine Zeta-Jones. What
the remake of The Haunting?
Yeah.
Did it make its money back?
Yeah. Was it Lily Taylor? Owen Wilson.
Oh, I was going to say that.
It was Owen Wilson. Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I've only seen it once. I just I never went back to it. I take it Liam Neeson's kind of Dr. Markway.
Well, it's not even
figure.
Margaret. It's a different
Montague.
It's a different kind of character, I think. And I think he's got all these people here to see how they react to fear. So it's although I think one of the characters, she's a wee bit more susceptible, but that's what it is. It's not necessarily quite like the Haunting, because I think Spielberg had got Stephen King involved, and Stephen King had made some suggestions, but also I think Stephen King thought they just want me, just as like a hired hand. So I thought he kind of parted ways with Spielberg because he thought it was one of the scariest films. Scariest books.
Yeah, I could see obviously he's took some tropes from Shirley Jackson's book into his books and stuff like the Nell's childhood rocks falling on was from Carrie as well. Remember?
Yeah.
He kind of took that as well.
But also, I think his experience with trying to make The Haunting. Did he write was it a TV series or a book? Was it Red Roses?
Red Rose, I think.
Yeah,
it's called.
so that was his
Haunting,
take on the Haunting. Yeah,
she kind of looks different. Lois Maxwell here does her hair different than what it is, and or darker, or maybe it's just the black and white.
Might be the black and white. I think, but also she has freckles. She had, as I say,
she comes in all cocky and overconfident and a complete skeptic.
Well, that's the thing.
She just goes away like scared shitless.
And then, particularly when she says, "Oh yeah," you say there's no dungeon, but she says, "Oh, why not the nursery?" And I think the nursery seems to be the epicenter of a lot of.
But then, in her mind, at the end of the movie, where she jumped out behind the tree and caused a car crash and killed Nell, so she's responsible for her death for jumping out behind the tree. But then, is she responsible, or was it the ghosts? But then she doesn't believe in ghosts, so then in her mind she'd be responsible. And she goes straight up to the most haunted house. It's the most haunted room in the house, the nursery, where Abigail died, Abigail Crane.
But yeah, in the book, she's the Lois Maxwell character. She's accompanied by another person.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they don't see the rest of the characters see things and hear things, but they both don't. But which once again is sometimes even creepier. Particularly when you're reading it to say, "No, I didn't hear anything." Oh my God! Oh.
The nursery's door was closed and locked, but now it's open.
But then they say that at the start where it was built, the whole house was built at certain angles, so doors may open or close. But then, yeah, exactly. That Hugh Crane, the builder of the house, he was born. Oh, no, he said the house was born bad. So that's it.
So what does it say? Suffer...
Little children, suffer little children, suffer little children.
Well, that's a nice thing to put in a nursery, isn't it?
But it's all these little pieces that it's only after repeated viewing or watching it on a big enough screen that then you see things that you miss. I mean, it can be disconcerting in certain films where you purposely did something out of shot, or not out of shot, but just in the corner of your eye, and you see something. There's a disturbing film by Robert Altman. It's called Images, and it's Susanna York, and she's a children's book writer. And she goes to Ireland, and there's certain things, is she seeing things which are real or not real, and there's certain things where she's speaking to her dead ex-lover, and is he real, is he not real? A bit like the Raising Cain, when you think, is that person real, is he not real? And there's certain scenes that you think, am I meant to see that person walking by that? But the thing is, a lot of these scenes go on for too long. So it would be absolutely chilling to see the person walk, but it goes on for too long that you think, oh yeah, that person's meant to have walked. You know how you just want a glimpse and get the hairs in the back of your neck. But that Images, that's set in Ireland, and that's in fact released the book that Susanna York's supposed to be a fantasy writer, a bit like a cross between Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. And in order to prep, Robert Altman said, right, you write the book, and they ended up publishing the book. And all through the scene, all through the film, there's excerpts, and she's talking about gnomes and goblins and unicorns and all that sort of stuff. And it just adds to the weirdness of it. And it's set in County Wicklow, I think it is, yeah. And it's about that thing about, are you seeing echoes from the past or from the future, all this sort of stuff. It's an unsettling film.
So all the scenes, interior shots are all done in the studio. It's quite surely the production designer Elliot somebody was it? I can't remember his name. Elliot Scott built all the sets at Borrowwood Studios MGM, but used high contrasted colours as you knew the film was going to be shot in black and white. That's obviously when you film in black and white, you got to know about the colours and what's going to stand out. You don't want something that's flat,
Yeah, well, that's the problem. That you look at the kind of dining room and there's everything's all flat and nothing stands out.
And obviously with the way they use light as well, especially like film noir and stuff, when you got really deep, almost crust blacks and light, and you got that kind of contrast.
Then, as you say, it's the sound dropping out or just the loud.
See, if you got like a normal colour movie and you just took the colour away and just did it normal black and white, the picture will look crap.
Yes, because it's all flat. I mean, you look at some of the films you see on the streamers and it's like, well, they look flat and that's in colour and it looked flat. Dead.
It was obviously there's a style here, the way it's lighted, the shadows and stuff to create that kind of contrast.
That's the thing
this is the scene with the door.
It's bulging, is it?
The bulging door.
But they don't. Once again, they just say that the house is evil, and it's not like they're looking at some book and they talk about some evil spirit. It's not. It's just it's there because you think, well, what is this? What is this spirit? What is it? Is it a demon? Is it no? There's none of that. It's just the house is haunted with something, or it's got evil spirits.
I mean, in America, the only thing older than modern day America is basically ancient Indians, because they were the people that were there before.
Yeah,
they were the original people.
Yeah, there's nothing.
So basically, if there's some ancient ghost, there's got to be some buried Indian, the ghost of a buried Indian.
Well, that's
whereas in Europe, we could have like the ghost of buried medieval knights or
Anglo-Saxon.
Something.
It could be anything. It could be, as I say,
something like that. Could be a Roman. It could be some
druids, all that sort of stuff.
Pict or something.
Where sometimes, I think the only spirits you think, well, in some films, it's like going back to maybe Salem. Like the Pilgrims. That's probably, and it's like
that's probably the oldest part.
Yeah,
that
East Coast,
top half of the East Coast.
Yeah. Because then you're looking at that and you think, am I seeing it bulging? Yeah. Obviously, people hadn't seen anything like that kind of thing. Where
just enough of a little couple inches of bulge, not too much, not overdone.
No, not overdone. And as I say, the voices you hear, just the.
But that's why I would love this movie to be remastered in some sort of like Atmos surround sound kind of mix.
Yeah,
because it's just
because then you get to hear
the actual sound field could be great if it had if it was worked on, but it's only got like a mono soundtrack. I mean, they went to the effort of giving the old Exorcist movie an Atmos soundtrack and stuff now with the recent 4K release.
Some people talk about the amount of kind of inner monologue or thing you hear, but sometimes that's when ghost stories are at their best. I don't think that takes anything away that you hear narration or inner monologue or anything like that. Where some other films it does, you think, oh, this is exposition. I must be one of the few people that prefer the Blade Runner the voiceover at the start, because that explains a lot of stuff.
What was I'm trying to remember. I watched a movie this week and I'm trying to remember what it was. That shows you how bad it was, because I completely forgotten it. And it was because I watched it last Sunday, which was Easter, and I went, wow, this is an Easter movie because it's set at Easter time. So I thought this is the ideal Easter movie for kids. Not. And it was called The Being, and it was made in the very about 1981, and it's basically this set in small town America where the town makes its money from potatoes. There's a big potato factory, and there's what looks like an alien sludge monster going around killing people.
My goodness.
And there's a kind of Mayor Vaughn Jaws bent with the mayor happens to be the owner of the potato factory, and he's did they use nuclear waste to grow potatoes? I don't know, but they seem to do it in this movie. And then you got Martin Landau. He comes in as this EPA critic that comes in and says, this is some water from your reservoir, and I'm drinking it, and this is good clear water, and this is proof that radioactive waste has no effect on drinking water in this town. And I was like, what the fuck is this on about? And it's the most ridiculous, stupid movie. And the lead guy is the producer of the movie. I think it's called Osco, weird name. And he's the main character. He plays the cop in the movie, and his acting is so bad. He's basically just got one emotion. He's got less personality than Melania Trump. He's got no personality at all. And that's what gives it the character, because it's so fucking bad. And you got to see the aliens, the sludge monster thing goes about killing people. It's just it leaves its green slime everywhere. It's on. I think it's on Prime at the moment, and it's called The Being. The Being. BEING. The Being.
It sounds worse.
And
than...
it's set at Christmas time. And
is it Christmas time, is it?
No, not Christmas time. Easter time. Sorry, Easter time. And there's a whole scene where they've got the Easter eggs all over, and they've got the kids. They've got the kids going after trying to collect all the Easter eggs.
Oh, and don't tell me there's something that looks like an Easter egg, but
and there's this little kid that goes around and picks up this big massive egg from a hole. That's got the creature in it, sort of thing.
Yeah, I see.
It's funny. It's so bad. It is so bad. It's just worth a watch. Basically, it's called The Being. I think it came out in '83, but it was made in '81. It's one of these movies that was held back probably for like 2 years for something.
Terrible.
And the acting for the lead guy, because he was the producer of the movie, and his what he did before this movie was porno movies, believe it or not. So I obviously thought, I'm going to cash in on this like slasher horror
stroke,
craze
still have from The Hangover, from Jaws. You know, that thing about some creature on the run, alien, Jaws, all mixed together.
Oh man, it is. But what reminded me of that was you're going about inner monologues.
Yeah.
This guy has an inner monologue as well. Like he's going, he goes into this car and he goes, oh crap. And he gets out of the car and he's got green slime all over his ass. Oh. And then the next scene, it's all gone. So you don't see him clean up his ass, but he's got green slime. And then he kind of talks to himself in his monologue. That's strange. And then like he wakes up and says, oh shit, I was meant to pick up my girlfriend 2.5 hours ago and I slept in. And then you see him like walking slowly down the street. You think he'd be running because to save his girlfriend. It's just absolutely awful. The acting is so bad, but that's what makes it a really bad, entertaining movie. Yeah. And if you want a really bad, entertaining Easter movie, check out The Being from 1981.
Well, see, that's the thing, because people are running out of Easter films. That that you can have your glut of Christmas ones. It's Easter ones that are harder to find upon. You know,
it is the mayor. I think the mayor's played by Mel Ferrer.
All right, yeah,
and his wife looks like 20 years younger than him. Is basically is one of these moral, high ground, conservative busybodies, and basically there's a shop moving into town, and a massage shop is going to have a massage table, and then she has this big rally, sweep the smut out of town. So they're all going out with like brooms and stuff. Let's sweep the smut and stuff. It's just so bad. Just because this place had a massage, going to do massages and stuff. They think, it's going to be like some porn ring or something.
Well, see, I'm wondering whether or not, if the guy's got previous, I wonder whether or not, he started off one way and thought, well, you know what, why don't we just make a proper film rather than...
But this is the guy Osco, who plays the cop who can't act to save himself. And you just got to watch the movie just to see his bad acting. It's just brilliant. But he's the producer of the movie. But I believe the actual director is a woman called Jackie Kong.
Jackie Kong, I wonder if that's a real name.
I don't know. But it's just completely crazy.
I remember watching, what did I see recently a couple of times? Was it Return of the Blob? You know, the sequel to The Blob.
When did that come out? I know that, but...
no, that was in the 70s.
Yeah.
In the 70s, and it's trying to get people to explain, it must have, did it come back or whatever, and then it's coming up through the toilet and stuff like that. Not the 88 kind of remake, but this was a sequel, you know?
Yeah, the remake made by Chuck Russell in the late 80s with Kevin Dillon.
Yeah, because, well, remember that they went through that phase, The Fly probably kicked it off, of trying to then remake, because they made The Fly, DOA, The Blob. You know, they went through a phase of looking at kind of 50s kind of films to say, oh, well, perhaps if we can remake them, you know.
Invaders from Mars, 86.
Invaders, yeah.
Toby Hooper. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Invaders from Mars. That's the one where the guy.
It's like remember the original one. They go over this little hill.
Yes.
And they come back as alien possessed or something.
That's
kind of a bit like Invasion of the Body Snatchers kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of, but yeah.
And then there was the other one which had Nancy thingy in it. Nancy Allen. That wasn't that one. That was another one. And it was about an alien, about a guy who goes to a small town and he discovers it's all full of aliens. Oh, Strange. Oh, what was it called? That cinematography was great. Oh, Strange Invaders. Have you seen that one?
No, give that a look out.
Yeah, the cinematography looks. Some of the acting is ropey, but the cinematography is brilliant. And it's like a mixture of E.T., Starman, and like say the Invaders from Mars all rolled into one.
See, when they made crap movies in those days, they had to, obviously it still took a bit of skill to make them, and they're already shot on film and have to use the right stock and stuff. But when they make crap movies now, it's just people doing it on their phones and stuff. It's just shit.
Well, that's the thing, because sometimes you don't, and the special effects are good in that Strange Invaders. It's one of those ones where you flip on and you think it's one film, or you think in the listings it's one film, and then you realise it's another, or you misremember it. It's like, is it Legion? There was a film, was it a James Herbert film?
I finally read the James Herbert's The Fog book.
The Fog, yeah.
If you think it's anything like John Carpenter's The Fog, you're going to be really disappointed.
Yeah, was it James Herbert who did another one they made into a film? Was it called Legion? And it was this creature with red eyes. It's fired lasers out of it. It's these ones when you think you stumble across it and you think, oh yeah, this is the Fog, and you realise it's not the Fog, it's something else. Because was it 50 years since the Rats? Was it 50 years?
The Rats. His Rats was made into a movie, was it?
Yeah.
But it wasn't called Rats, it was called something else. And it wasn't of unknown origin, which was the Peter Weller one.
Yeah, and because, not to be confused, is it an Italian film? Was it not Day of the Rats? There's a similar thing. Is it the Rat Invasion? Night of the Rats? Is that the Italian one? Or is it Spanish?
But is Night of the Rats not the one that's based on the James Herbert book?
Oh, yeah, could it be? Yeah, but
I think so.
But the ending's totally different.
Yeah. But the Fog, James Herbert's The Fog, is basically, it's not like a ghost story about like a dead ship of leper pirates coming back in the fog. Basically, it's just like a crack opens up in the middle of a road in a small village in England or Wales or something, and this gas comes out.
Ah, right.
and the gas basically affects you, turns you into zombie kind of creatures and stuff,
Right.
and you get basically, and then it's kind of like a apocalypse kind of on like bit like at the end of Life Force, where London's just completely possessed by
Yeah.
zombies. But it's not, it shouldn't be called the fog. It should just be called the gas, basically something. But it's nothing to do. But if you've lived off the fog, you're going to be disappointed.
But also
by
because that
James
fog.
Herbert novel.
I think the title, you would think that's exactly what it is. The fog from the sea. Yeah, but then it's not. It's like sometimes, as you talked about before, sometimes the posters in the video shop were more interesting than the films, or all you remember is the poster, you never saw the film. It's like that film, which is a particularly nasty one, is it Dead and Buried? That you remember seeing the head that looked like a statue from the earth, and then you see the film and it's like, what is this?
Was that
That
Dead
was
and
Dan
Buried?
O'Bannon.
Was that the one that was directed by the guy that did Poltergeist 3?
Was it what? Was it Dan O'Bannon?
He wrote it, yeah.
Yeah, wrote some of the, yeah. And it was
Who
that
was it?
about, yeah.
Who's the guy? The guy that directed Poltergeist 3 with Tom Skerritt. I think it was the same director. I can't remember his name. Why? We might be talking about The Haunting.
But then, it's, as I say, that there's some films that bear repeated viewing, and I think there's some films that you reach a limit that you can't watch it anymore. Not because it's not boring, that it reaches a thingy to say there's other films you can watch all the time, all the time, and other times it's like, it's not so much it's too intense. It's like, yeah, I've got it. I need to take a break from it.
It's kind of like eating a doner kebab. You love it, and then you get to like the next bite, and then you're suddenly nauseous, and you can't have any more, and you go, "Ugh." You just made yourself crap, and then you just can't go there. Oh, I still got a few 4 bits left. Oh, I can't do it. I've reached my maximum.
No, but it's not that with the film. I think maybe some films 5-6 times you could maybe watch it, in a fairly recent period, and then after that, and other times, if it's something like a long film that sometimes at Christmas you'll see it once, and then it'll be on another channel, and then you'll see it repeated again on a digital channel, and then you get to appreciate it for the first time because you've seen it multiple times, and you get into a rhythm. You think, all right, I didn't realise. I remember watching that about Fiddler on the Roof. It was over about 3-4 times a couple of Christmases ago on various different channels, and I watched it almost, and you get to appreciate more than, as a kid, you flip it on and back, at Christmas time or whatever, these films were on, and they seemed to go on for like 5 hours, like Dr. Zhivago or stuff like that. And it's only recently you get to either appreciate it or get to see, oh yeah, I hyped that up too much, or I didn't appreciate it enough.
They couldn't make a movie like Lawrence of Arabia today, because that scene where Omar Sharif's coming,
yes,
and it's just like you see the heat haze shimmer in the camera kind of thing, and he just takes ages to come. Yeah. I mean that would be edited out because they wouldn't allow anything like that nowadays. So.
It would be edited out, and also it wouldn't be shot in film. So perhaps it would not.
You wouldn't
have
probably
the same
even get
impact.
that effect.
No, you wouldn't get that same effect.
There's a scene. There's a scene at the end of Lethal Weapon where Murtaugh is waiting in that dried lake desert at the end to do that swap to get his daughter back, and you see the cars of the henchmen and the helicopter coming towards, and there's the similar scene like in Lawrence where you got that heat haze shimmer. Quite a good effect, coming towards the camera. Those just kind of makes the movie a bit more classy.
It does make it classy, and it's that thing about why can't you look at films from the 80s and say, well, why can't, I think maybe that's why you look at, say, Top Gun Maverick, and people point to that and say, well, that's just like a kind of 80s movie. Why can't you just make movies like there was in the 80s? Where, you just come in like a kind of Schwarzenegger, you just go straight to the story. You don't need all this back stuff. You don't need all this wisecracking, all a bit of the ad-libbing. You just do that, and we seem to have an inability to make films like they were in the past. You know, the same. You know, they always have to add something to it. You know. Well, you look at, say, Raiders of the Lost Ark, for instance, right? Why can't you just make a film like that? You know, no backstory, just a wee bit of backstory, but just go like that. You know.
Yeah, because people when they watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, they probably know who Indiana Jones is. But when we first watched it, this is the first time we've dipped in the toe of the Indiana Jones. We don't know anything about it. We have to learn who the character is by watching the movie.
Yes.
So basically, you don't actually see Harrison Ford's face until the scene where he whips the guy when the guy tries to kill him at the start. Good shot, just a good reveal and everything. But you just basically have to just fill in the blanks yourself while watching it.
Blanks, or you look at like Cocktail or stuff like that. Tom Cruise or stuff. It's like, you know, people do say you don't make kind of films like that anymore. Or story wise, just you know, you just crack on with the story. We don't need all the other stuff. You know. So even if you had I think eventually they'll remake everything. Every sacred cow will go. They'll probably remake Jaws and stuff like that. But it's not the technology. It is letting scenes breathe, letting see, you know, and that's the problem. Which,
speaking of Jaws, one of the top movies on Netflix at the moment is a movie called Thrash.
Yes, I read about that one.
I started watching it. Oh my god, I couldn't get through it. It's one of these. Wait, it's probably mildly entertaining, instantly forgettable movie about a hurricane that hits a small town, probably America somewhere, and the whole place gets flooded, and on the coast, and all these sharks start coming in and start picking people off, and it's just one of these disaster movies with flooding and sharks. Good sound effects, mind you. Good Atmos sound, but just one of these movies you see on Netflix, probably entertain you, and then instantly forgettable. Yeah. So the film ends and it's got that smoky font,
white ink, but as they say, it's as the Julie Harris character, it's finally at peace. So then, but does that mean it's the spirit there, or it's now at peace and it just fades away, just drains away the evilness?
Yeah, poor sister and brother-in-law, they without a car.
We've got a car, but no, that's, as I say, a lot of we discussed that before about black and white seem to suit ghost stories. If you've got a great contrast with and a brilliant cinematography, you know, it really pops, really crisp.
Yeah, like we've got Night of the Demon, which we've done. Obviously, The Haunting, Innocence, and Uninvited is another one I like.
Uninvited,
maybe even like Children of the Damned, and Village of the Damned and stuff.
Although that seems to be a wee bit lighter. It's not Dead of Night, the Ealing comedy, not the Ealing comedy, the Ealing portmanteau. You know.
Yeah. Have you seen City of the Dead yet?
Yes, yeah.
It's okay, is it?
I did. It reminded me, as I say, of that. Is it not Blood and Lace? That Barbara Steele one, because it starts similar with being
you've got that Patricia Jessel as Elizabeth Selwyn, the witch that gets burned at the start, but then she comes back as another character later on. Yeah, but she's kind of like the reincarnation of that character, but she's kind of like Barbara Steele-ish with a bit more kind of angular kind of figure.
But no, you could you look at that and you think that is just like a kind of hammer, but it's obviously they wanted to do that story, but they either didn't have the budget to do the set in the past, so we'll set it in the present. But which is, I mean, whether it was an economic thing to say, right, we'll set it in America rather than set it UK, because I mean, there's witch burnings around here, you know.
I don't think they ever had witch burnings in the US. I think that's strictly basically in Britain, basically.
Well, yeah, there was
I
the
think-
one up in Forfar that was put in a barrel of tar and all that sort of stuff. Horrible.
Yeah, and obviously the Pendle witches.
And the
stuff.
witches, they were hung, or then they were,
It's sad. It's just like some fucking kid with a big mouth causing havoc. And
doesn't have it, or something
and
they
getting
didn't
people
understand.
killed.
Exactly. It was, just people, or it wasn't even people who had like the knowledge of, say, medicines, herbs and stuff like that. Somebody could just turn around and say, "Oh, my sheep died yesterday, and that was because of you."
yeah, people probably just use it for revenge and political means.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Witchfinder General,
Witchfinder General. Yeah. Matthew Hopkins.
amazing real character.
Yeah.
But he didn't have American accent like Vincent Price.
I know. That's Well, that takes you then into that kind of the folk. Discuss the kind of folk horror. There's something about the, like the blood on Satan's claw. There's something about that. Something set it in the past, and somebody discovers something even more ancient, or set it now and find something from the past, an old stone or something. Like, I suppose Quatermass in the Pit gets the best of both worlds. The idea of, could this be? That's where I kind of lose interest when it becomes science fiction. I much prefer it when they think it's some sort of, demon. Hobbs.
Have you seen the very early BBC 6-part series of Quatermass in the Pit?
Yeah, I had the BBC DVDs, so I had them all three of the.
It's kind of weird because it goes from like 35mm film to video and then back to film and video. It goes from one extreme to the other.
Unless that was lost episodes, unless they found them.
No, that's the way they shot it because they
live TV.
Yeah, they did pre-recorded bits.
Yes.
And then they did live TV for the other bits. And then they just put the pre-recorded bits in, probably to have a break or something, and then come back. So kind of weird. But that was The Haunting, 1963. Any last thoughts on Shirley Jackson's classic book and Robert Wise? Cult classic.
Well, I say I would recommend it, but no, there's no buts. I would recommend that film, and whether you get the chills there at the time or a couple of days later, or maybe because it's black and white, that some people might turn off. But no, it looks brilliant. It's surprising. It's not boring at all. It's like something.
Even the dialogue scenes.
It's good. It's serious.
It's interesting.
Yes. The only thing that because they didn't go down the road of the Richard Johnson character bringing lots of cameras or like
like Poltergeist.
Like like Poltergeist bringing lots of equipment, sensors, all that sort of stuff. Like
you could have like a Martin Short lookalike character coming in and taking all the steak out of the fridge and started eating it. That was a bit like pretty rude. You invite these people in and just fucking raid your fridge and start eating everything out of it.
Well, there's that scene because if that's early in the morning, if that's at like 2:00 in the morning, for instance, maybe earlier, why would you want to be started cooking up a steak?
Yeah,
why would you? That would just sit on your stomach. Why would you want to be cooking up a steak?
I mean, if there was a fucking pheasant in the fridge, you'd probably cook that as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But
he was eating all the chips as well. The crisps, we call them crisps. In the North America, they call them chips. But he must have went through 2 massive bags of chips before he even got to the steak.
Well, but I see that. I think that was that, and when the creature comes out of the closet, that was probably the only 2 scenes that actually scare me. Up until that point, it's fairly, it's a thrill ride, and then that those bits were a wee bit too scary when he starts pulling at his face. Although it's quite obviously it's a rubber mask. If
you're lucky enough to get the Blu-ray for The Haunting, which I recommend, other than the fact that it should really have a surround sound mix rather than just a mono mix, but can't have everything. But the commentary here by Robert Wise himself, Nelson Gidding, Julie Harris, Claire Bloom, Richard Johnson, and Russ Tamblyn. It's a bit of, this is one of these commentaries, it's a bit copy and paste, basically. It's one of these ones,
right.
they're not all together in the same, they're basically just copy and paste bits and put it together and sewed it all up into like a commentary.
See, the thing is about the DVD commentary, the thing that makes my heart sink is you're watching a film and you say, oh, I can't wait to get the commentary. But you know, like if you get to a film and there's a really emotional scene and you think, oh, I can't wait to hear what the actors or the director say about this scene. And either it passes without comment or they're laughing and joking about something else.
Yeah, they're not even bothered about one of the key scenes in the movie.
Because there was one scene in Pitch Black and there's that scene right at the end, you know, when the female lead gets taken away. And you watch the commentary with Pitch Black and they're talking about something else and you think, that's one of the gut punch of
that, what's his name? Robert Chewy, or what his name is?
Yes, yeah. And the fourth one's coming out.
David Chewy, Robert Chewy, David Chewy, somebody Chewy.
And there's other scenes, there's other films you watch and that either people are joking and it's like, but you do know that's a emotion, you know, emotional bit in the scene, and as you say, passes without any comment, and it's like, well, yeah, that wasn't much of a.
It's like it was after I watched that classic Easter movie, The Being, last Sunday. I went, oh, I've got to go on and see what podcasts, what other people are talking about and about this movie, and I went on, and I only found 2 people that did the podcast for it. And one of them was only 5 minutes long, so I didn't bother with that. And there was another one that had about 50-minute podcast, which basically just slammed it as just the biggest piece of shit ever. And I went, what the fuck? What's wrong with the world? You know, it's just like when you search for The Haunting, 1963. Jesus, there's like 200 bloody things that come up. It's just
200, as you say, and it's
makes you wonder why the fuck we waste our time doing this podcast for The Haunting when there's about 200 versions of this podcast already out there. It's just crazy.
See, that's where when you start looking into it, you start to say, well, what can you add to it?
We need to do films that nobody else has done. So we need to come up with a film idea, okay, and then we go do a search. And if there's like 50 versions of this film out on podcast world, then but then if it's only like 1 or 2, then we go, we can do that because this could be more in demand in the future. This could be like a treasure in the future. You never know.
But then is that not like perhaps looking at say like horse racing and only picking 200 to 1s? You know, only betting on 200 to 1s, and you know, if it comes in, brilliant. If it doesn't come in, yeah, you know,
it's just that sometimes lesser shitty movies just deserve a podcast rather than Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Haunting. You know, maybe The Being deserves an extra podcast. Just explain how shit it is.
But then, if it's hard to watch or hard to come by, or people don't know it. It's like, well, I'm not going to invest my time to look it out. You know, you just don't know. Chicken and blob. It's
chicken and blob.
Chicken and blob. Which came first, the blob or the chicken?
Like a cell or something, isn't it? Well, that's Robert Wise, The Haunting. Yeah, it's just that the first time I watched this was kind of similar to Night of the Demon. Watched it one night on my small portable late at night, and it scared the crap out of me. Just watching it as a young kid in bed in the dark.
Yeah.
I think when people watch movies now, they don't get invested in the movies. They watch the movies, they keep the light on, or they watch the movies during the day, and they're distracted with the phone, and that just. You cannot really get into a movie with that sort of distraction. To be honest with you,
and also it's down to if once again how old we are talking about, how old we are, is about the schedulers, the television schedulers. You know, the films like that. I mean, the terrestrial TV went through a stage in the last, you know, maybe since the pandemic, before the pandemic, of not really having many films on the television at all. You had the dedicated film channels, very few. And then you could argue that the kind of the talking pictures TV came along, and during the pandemic that seemed to be a big thing. People were interested in older films, and then since then you've noticed remember the BBC Two would have a Saturday afternoon film and stuff like that. That seems to have come back again. Now, whether that's to save money or whether that's to say, well, that's a fact, there is an audience out there for people who want to watch films in the afternoon. Let's put that on.
But when we were growing up, when we were young,
The afternoon film as well.
There was movies on after all the children's program in the morning on BBC One. So after
Yes,
I don't know, Saturday Superstore, Swap Shop, there'll be a movie on about 11 a.m. in the morning.
or sometimes it'd be
It'd be
either
something like
Norman Wisdom or the Devil Ship Pirates or something.
yeah,
like that.
or some like 300 Spartans or some
Yes,
with some kind of sword and sandal movie with Samson or whatever. So remember those days? Would there be like a Saturday morning movie? There'd be the Saturday morning cartoons, and then there'd be like the show Swap Shop or Saturday Superstore, and then after that there'd be like a movie or something. That was before like Football Focus was on and stuff, you know.
yeah. And like I said, they went through a phase of and Channel 4 used to put on an afternoon film before there was Film 4, and they used to have one in the afternoon.
They would have like British movies on and stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
I remember seeing Smashing Time.
Like
the 60s film.
early black and white Carry On movies, like Carry On Cabby
Yes.
or something would be on there. Or
And then
Carry On Cruising.
ITV used to put on, was it maybe a Wednesday afternoon? They would have an afternoon movie, a black and white one. You know, I remember probably my best experience was had a tooth pulled, and then
That was your best experience?
No,
having
no,
your
no.
tooth pulled?
No, I think I was off. Either I was at the dentist or I was at off sick, and it's that time where you're starting to recover during the day, and maybe you're well enough to have a bit of
The
toast.
drugs are wearing off.
Yeah, the drugs are wearing off. You can have a bit of toast and maybe sweet tea, and then wheel in the black and white TV. You've watched the schools programs, and wheel it in, and that was the first time I'd seen the first Margaret Rutherford Miss Marple. The one from the train. I don't know if that's based on what was the film, the 850 from Paddington or whatever. And I thought, wow, because I had a black and white TV. There was two kinds of black and white films. There was old black and white films which were made in the 40s, and there was new black and white films made in the 50s. And when you're a young kid watching it, you can't quite know. You're not au fait enough with. You
can see a difference nowadays, though.
Yes, well, now you know, but at the time you don't realise if you're watching like a 1940s film, is that a 1940s, is that a black and white film, or is that something from like 1952? But now, you know, you can tell the difference between the 50s and 40s films. But also it didn't help watching, say, like the Basil Rathbone on BBC Two. They used to put on the Basil Rathbone Sherlock Holmes, and they switched from the Victorian to then during the war as a way of morale to the modern day, and that's what you're watching, you know,
So I've got the box set there. I started going through them again. I just like Basil Rathbone as Sherlock Holmes. It's just
and let's say if
but I would have preferred it if they kept it in period, because they only did two. I think the first two were done by 20th Century Fox, and they had a bit of budget behind them. The first two, How Did the Baskervilles and The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, but then they didn't do any more movies after that. I don't know if it's because of the war or something, but I think Universal bought the rights after that, and then they did 12 other movies during the course of World War II, and they're pretty much all kind of set in current time.
Yeah, he's up against Nazis or stuff like that.
Propaganda movies with Sherlock Holmes. Yeah. But there's some good stuff there, though. But they recycled the same actors in different roles over and over, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved them. But
yeah, no, that's I say if you catch that, you know, the film has to be, you switch it on, it's at like 9 o'clock at night, and it's you've got the lights off and you start watching that. You know, it has to be not too late, and you would enjoy it. Or people might find it boring now, but no, I don't think it's boring at all.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. Well, thank you. Kind of wrap up. Not so much a review, it's more just a homage to a great movie, The Haunting 1963. Not going to be too critical of it. It's a pretty classic movie, looks great. And it's just one of these movies that it just works with repeated viewings. It's just you could just watch it over and over and over. Just like Jaws, basically. You can never get fed out of it. You don't have that doner kebab moment where you just get nauseous after eating just one bite too much, you know. Well, thank you, Ian.
No problem, Gary.
Well, we're going to do Rasputin the Mad Monk the next time, which is a personal favourite of Ian. And this is Ian's pick, Rasputin the Mad Monk, classic Hammer horror from the heyday with Christopher Lee.
Yes.
Thank you for patience and sharing your time. We'll see you next time. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.